As the CEO, I can't tell you how proud I am about the staff that we've had in our response to it. The key thing is that we like the rest of the country, we weren't prepared right away to react to it. However, we set up a staff meeting here in this room that I'm sitting in, and actually the first decision we made as a staff is we're always struggling with mission versus margins, and that we were going to focus on keeping our mission no matter what we were facing. We realized in the first week we're dealing with another pandemic. How are we going to deal with the pandemic of drug and alcohol addiction at the same time we've got this other pandemic going on? But we always came down to the guiding principle was going to be our mission, and that the last thing we were going to do was take shortcuts with our mission. And we had to make this up on the fly. There are no textbooks about how you deal with a pandemic within a pandemic. We had to limit, in the beginning, we reduced the number of patients we were taking so that we could make sure that our employees were safe as they were treating them. We also made a conscious decision as a staff, and we were supported by the board from day one that the last thing we were going to do was furlough or lay off employees.
We were presented with a budget in June, I think, that resulted in a loss. There are two ways you can make up a loss. Either you increase revenues, which was, given the circumstances of the pandemic, was not a realistic possibility because we were actually cutting the number of patients we were taking in for the reasons Dave just said, that we had to make sure that our staff above all was safe and that the patients were safe. So we cut our admissions by 30-40%. So that's one way to resolve a budget that's losing money. The other way to do it is to furlough people, and we decided that we were not going to do either one of those. Our mission comes first, as Dave just said, and it was really important to us to make sure that we continue to fulfill that mission. And we as a board decided that we would suffer that loss in order not to sacrifice the mission.
We've been able to build our bed capacity up. It's not what it was before the pandemic, and it's just about where we want it, so that we can again make sure our employees are safe in doing that, and it will be a lost budget, as Jim said. I come out of corporate America. There's only two ways you can deal with something like this, and we've chosen the mission over margin. And it's been quite an experience. We've had volunteers stand up. We have what we call a stabilization unit. So when you come here, initially for anywhere from 2 to 5 days, you're segregated from the rest of the community. So we can test you. We can make sure you don't have any COVID symptoms, if you will. That required actually adding to staff to be able to support that. And we had we had a lot of volunteers to go in and take care of that. So,
you know, Ashley's always been very good at adapting and changing with the times. This disease does not stand still, and neither can Ashley. We've always been at the cutting edge of innovation. We are an evidence-based, innovative treatment center, and that doesn't stop just because of some pandemic. We've continued to advance the science. Our medical director has co-authored in partnership with Johns Hopkins a number of peer-reviewed articles in peer-reviewed journals, and they're frankly groundbreaking. And so we don't stop. And I'm so proud of Dave and the staff and the senior staff that we're able to do this. It is like trying to repair a locomotive while it's moving down the track. So I just couldn't be prouder to be on this board.
Where do we go from here with the pandemic? I think a couple of things. First of all, as Dr. Fauci would say, the virus will tell us.
Right.
But what's going to be different, we are prepared now. We've had 5 months of experience. We have plans to fit any situation that we have to face in the future with this virus. We've got a real good relationship with a local lab, so we can turn that testing around. We have employees that are now comfortable, if you will, in terms of how we treat people in this environment, and so we are prepared.
All of us have been shocked by the killing of George Floyd, and even more events recently. I have to say this, an old white man in a fading demographic, the significance of which is fading, and some people would say thank God for that. I have no idea what it must be like in this country to be an African American or a person of color. I can't imagine what it would be like to worry about my son or sons every day when they leave the house. But one of our core values at Ashley is compassion. And as we said in one of our social media posts, that means in this context that I am with you. At Ashley, we stand for racial justice, we stand for social justice, we stand for economic justice. And we always will. That's always been the case at Ashley. And we have a long way to go in terms of providing, anything approaching actual equity in this country and in this institution. And it's a daily job for us. And Dave and I speak every week, and the first question out of my mouth is, where do we stand on diversity, on racial and economic diversity? And we're making progress, but we're not perfect, and we probably never will be perfect, but I insist that we make progress. The board is fully committed to achieving and promoting racial and economic justice. We are fully committed to increasing the diversity of viewpoints, the racial diversity, the economic diversity, not only of the executive leadership team, and not only of the board, but of our patient population, because it all starts there. We need to reach out, and we need to have, when people come here of different racial and economic backgrounds, we need to be prepared to treat them. And what that means is that we need to be attuned to their individual needs. And Ashley has always been a place where we provide treatment to individuals. We don't provide treatments to a patient population. We provide treatment to individuals, and we need to, as Father Martin would say, we need to go one step further in making sure that that ambition is realized.